All right, we're live. It's only a minute or two later, but a little bit distracted watching the Pitt volleyball team taking on Penn State. They're playing in State College right now, and we're sort of keeping an eye on that. Obviously, streams are a little bit late and a little bit behind, but so we're watching that, but we're also still watching the stat. This, the official stats have Pitt ahead 15-12. My stream's in a commercial break, so that's not going to be that's a media timeout anyway. So Pitt's leading 15-12 over Penn State. We'll keep an eye on that. The number 5 Panthers taking on, I think, Penn State's number 13. That match should be wrapping up shortly. We appreciate everybody who tuned in here just to maybe you're split screening the Panther-Lair Show and the Pitt volleyball. And I apologize. My internet has been messing up today. So I apologize if anyone's having an issue with this. My internet seems to be slow right now. I'm trying to upload tomorrow's morning Pitt, and it's taking like 40 minutes to upload the video when it usually takes about 2 or 3. So I apologize if you have any kind of issues, buffering or whatnot with me. Hopefully it all comes through nice and clean for you. But we are here. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about here on the this week's Panther-Lair Show in the wake of the loss at West Virginia. We could talk volleyball if you want to talk that. We can at least talk about that it exists and that it's happening. And those are probably the biggest topics. The loss at West Virginia is the biggest one. We've certainly talked a lot about it. We had a nice long post-game show after the game on Saturday night. We've had 3 episodes of the Morning Pit so far, basically talking about that game, general thoughts on the game, more on the offense and the quarterback situation, more on the defense today. So we've definitely been spending a lot of time talking about that game in the aftermath of that loss. And, well, that's probably what we will talk about a lot tonight is the West Virginia game. So when we bring Jim in, he was down there. We can get his thoughts on it and then also get yours. Jump in the comments and the questions right there. Oh, I said Pitt's leading 15-12. They're leading 15. Actually, it's 15-13 now in the third set. Pitt won the first 2 sets, so they're obviously going for the win in the match here, taking on Penn State in State College. And like I say, we'll keep an eye on that and kind of give you updates as it goes. Long volley is fun to watch. I mean, it's just like an entertaining, exciting thing to watch. And I gotta close that screen so I don't get distracted by it. You can split screen it and watch us and watch the volleyball match, but I should probably keep my focus here since you guys are nice enough to tune in. So let's bring in Jim. If I'm going to turn on my volume, I need to mute the volleyball match in the other tab so I don't hear volleyball and Jim. I just want to hear Jim. And there he is, Jim. Am I is my internet signal? Am I coming through clear there for you? Am I breaking up at all?
So far, so good.
Good.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
great.
That's what we're shooting for.
When you first came in, it was rather pixelated, and I was afraid that was my internet service, which I probably should close the live stream of the volleyball match because it's certainly not helping. It's a drain on it, so I'll just keep the stat book open. Do you have the stat broadcast going for this match? Or are you watching the match?
I'm watching the match. I'm doing the dual window right now.
Oh, you've got the split screen. Okay, so you'll be the one who's distracted during this. So I wonder, is your stream behind mine? I have the score on stat broadcast at 16-15. Are you caught up to that?
They are showing a replay. Yeah, it is 16-15.
Okay. Well, Penn State just subbed, but we'll see if I'm ahead of it. Oh, now it's tied.
Okay. I didn't see that yet.
I'm going to be I'm going to be that guy with the spoiler alerts, like telling you things that happen when your stream is behind. But it is tied in an attack error by Olivia Babcock. Anyway, we will, we'll keep an eye on volleyball and see what happens there with Pitt taking on Penn State. But obviously our big topic is that other rivalry, the Backyard Brawl. You were down in Morgantown on Saturday for that game. It did not go the way any of us expected it to go. I think we were all expecting a Pitt win. And the game was certainly there to be won, but it wasn't. And they blew it in a lot of ways. You could probably find all 3 phases. You could find errors, offense, defense, and special teams, but offense has taken the brunt of the criticism, and I don't think that's misplaced. Do you, Jim?
No. You have to score more than 3 points in a half of football. I mean, it just comes down to that. It's very simple. You need to score a touchdown before your 10th drive of the game. I think that's also stating it very simply. When your defense gives you 2 opportunities inside the other team's 30, you need to score touchdowns. So Yeah, I mean, 2 touchdowns in that game just wasn't going to cut it. There was plenty of opportunities for them to add to the lead, score points late in the game. Just possess the ball a little bit more. Get an extra first down, get 4 more yards, and you win the game. So, yeah, I mean, you could go back and look and say, yeah, the defense should stop a team like West Virginia for 87 yards. Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, you need to score more than 2 touchdowns to win a football game. And there were plenty of opportunities to do that. And they just didn't.
Yeah. And there's, because today's morning Pitt was, has Pitt's defense being good enough. There's been a lot of conversation about, about that topic today on the message boards. And yeah, the final 2 drives of regulation, West Virginia gets 159 yards on 25 plays, takes almost 7 minutes off the clock. You do need to stop there. But up until the final 12 seconds, 11 seconds of regulation, Pitt's defense had given up 2 touchdowns. Like, if you only give up 2 touchdowns, that's enough to win, right? Like whatever other numbers we can come up with, 170, whatever rushing yards, like you only gave up 2 touchdowns until the final 11 seconds. That's enough to win. And, it's like, the analogy or the metaphor of a blown save keeps getting brought up. And I think that's pretty appropriate. Like, the defense had a chance to get the save, to get, if they get one more stop, but they had gotten stops all game. And they gave, like you said, they gave Pitt's offense the ball inside the 30 multiple times. I think, they started one interception drive. They started at the 14, one interception drive. They started at the 24, and they get 2 field goals out of it. Like, the offense lost this game. The defense had a chance to win it, but I can't say the defense lost it. And so, I think we can talk about the defense throughout the night. We can come up with different topics, but like, this is really about Pitt's offense. What's your concern level now after this game where they score 2 touchdowns? In a college football game, they score 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals. What's your concern level with Pitt's offense 2025?
Right now, I would say it's pretty high, and I think there's several reasons to go into that. We don't know the status of Desmond Reed right now, so that's probably concern number 1. And we might even be having a different conversation if he plays the whole game. Like, you would have to think in a 1-score game, Desmond Reed gets an extra first down, finds the end zone, does something, does Desmond Reed things. So he's so important to what they do. And you could feel when he wasn't on the field, you could feel that safety valve, that dump off option, that big play threat. It just wasn't there. But I mean, right now, the biggest concerns right now largely stem from the quarterback. He just wasn't good enough on Saturday. I mean, I think it was 13 of 25 in the first half. I mean, it was just bad. And, Eli even admitted after the game, he was rattled from that first play. He said the whole offense was rattled. It set them off. They lost 10 yards on the first play. It gave the crowd some life, and they just never recovered from it in the first half. Now, I will say in the second half, they did do some good things. Eli was a little bit better. I think he was 9 of 11 after halftime. They moved the ball some. Obviously, they had their only 2 touchdowns in the second half. So there was better things happening in the second half. But it's just concerning that it seemed like the crowd got to them. It seemed like West Virginia's pressure got to them. Eli got sacked 6 times. So everything just looked jumbled. There was no cohesion. There was no rhyme or reason to anything they were doing. There was times in that game, even after Desmond Reed left, I was like, maybe they should try Joel's Goff a little bit. Like, I think that guy can get 4 or 5 yards. There were just certain drives they just wouldn't do it, and it put a lot of pressure on Holstein. And in the end, they deserved everything they got from that game.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny you talk about like Desmond Reed doing Desmond Reed things, like getting open up the sideline. Like that's a great Desmond Reed thing, but you actually have to get the ball to him. And like, that's probably the most concerning thing is like, yeah, Eli Holstein was under pressure a lot. And, the offensive line did not hold up well, and he didn't have Desmond Reed and all of this, but like I counted 7 throws that like were just absolute whiffs by him. And this isn't some like all 22 nerd thing of like, oh, when I looked, this receiver was open for 3 seconds here, and it just happened to be like the 6th guy in the progression or something. No, like these were throws he made to open wide receivers, and he just blew it. Whether it was Desmond Reed, it was Justin Holmes. He overthrew Poppy Williams on one. There was one early, maybe the first or second drive, Kenny Johnson. He basically threw it into the dirt. Like he's open, and Raphael Williams is open behind him too. Like you had multiple receivers open. You can't hit either one. The interception at the goal line was terrible. He had a pass to Kenny Johnson, a screen pass to his left that he just threw behind him and was incomplete. And then he had a screen pass to his right later in the game that was also behind him. Kenny Johnson was a magician on that play and somehow got 7 yards out of it because the pass was behind him. He barely caught it. He had a defender right on him, and he still managed to get 7 yards out of it. It was just like 7 plays that they're not routine plays. Like you have to have good touch, good feel with the receiver to drop the ball out there for Desmond Reed in that, on that pass up the sideline, or Justin Holmes on that pass up the other sideline. Like you have to have a certain amount of touch to it. It's not an easy throw, but it's the kind of throw you have to be able to make. And if he makes just one of those throws, I think they probably win the game. Like Desmond Reed very well could have been a touchdown on that play. There was a safety coming over. A lot of people have said like, oh, that definitely would have been a touchdown. Probably there was a safety coming over, I think, that might have been able to get him out of bounds. Justin Holmes probably scores. Either way, they definitely get first downs and the drives stay alive. And it just, like, you can't miss those throws. I know you're under pressure. I know the offensive line is not blocking for you well. I know that there's nothing Cade Bell likes to do less than keeping a tight end in to pass block. I know he refuses to do it. Like, we've talked about it. The numbers last year that Gavin Bartholomew pass blocked like 6 times all season or something. I know these things, and I know you can't run the ball. I know you don't really run block very well. But when there are open throws to make, you got to make them. And, like, if you're offsetting too many of the amazing, spectacular plays where he scrambles and runs and makes the throw downfield, you're offsetting those by just missing on too many routine plays. I don't know. I don't know how much longer you can go with that because it's costing you games, and it cost them that game on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, like, it never got to the point where it was like the brawl 2 years ago, but like at a certain point, like, they had 3 points at halftime. I think they had 6 against West Virginia 2 years ago. I mean, it was that bad. And he was missing those easy throws. Like that one to Kenny Johnson, that was actually a clean pocket. He stepped up and stepped into the throw and still delivered it short. So
yeah,
I mean, we talked so much about those first 2 weeks where it just seems like he's better on the run. He likes to move, but to a certain point, he's almost creating his own pressure. He's bailing on clean pockets. Again, I'm not trying to be like that football nerd because I'm not. Like, I can't sit here and break down film like other people can. But like, just to my untrained eye, it's like, man, like, you didn't need to run there. Like, you could set your feet and make a throw, and there was opportunities to do that. And this offense is so much about the quarterback being a distributor. Like, you just need to get the ball in the right people's hands quickly. Like, we talk about him like struggling to read a defense. Well, a lot of times, like, you don't have to. Like, a lot of these like plays are predetermined, or like if it's not here, then it's here. And like, even that he is struggling with, and that's concerning, and that's really concerning going into ACC play.
Yeah, because it's not gonna get easier. It's not gonna get it's gonna get harder as they go. I feel like that was something Kenny Pickett had basically up until his final year. That he was not comfortable in the pocket. Like, and I feel like he bailed on pockets. He just never was able to really sit back there. And that was a big issue. And I think it was an issue for him again when he got to the NFL, that he just wasn't comfortable in the pocket. Even when it was a clean pocket, he was bailing out like there was pressure. And Eli Holstein seems to have that. Now, he's not wrong. Like, they're under pressure a lot. I think I looked. Pro Football Focus said he was under pressure on 48% of his dropbacks, which feels about right. But like, Pro Football Focus also said that West Virginia blitzed him on like 52% of his dropbacks. I went through, I think he had about 48 dropbacks or something like that. I only count, it was either 38 or 48. I forget the exact number. But I only counted, like, for me, a blitz is rushing 5. Would you agree with that? Like, how would you define a blitz?
Anyone other than the defensive line rushing.
Okay, like, so if you have a 3-man line, then just sending a 4th guy, you would count that as a blitz.
Yeah.
See, I don't think of it as a blitz when TJ Watt rushes the passer. You know what I mean? If you play a 3-4 defense or a 3-3-5 and you send a linebacker, it's still just 4 guys rushing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like just to that Watt example, like, he does have his hand in the dirt a good bit anyway. Like, a 3-4 Steelers outside linebacker is still kind of a defensive end.
Okay, like whoever you want to pick, like James Harrison was standing up all the time, or Lamar Woodley was standing up all the time. You know what I mean? Like, those guys were up more often than not. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't count it as a blitz. They were the fourth rusher, like that. Anyway, so you would say anyone other than a defensive lineman.
If you're like sending a linebacker who's not his objective is not always going after the quarterback. If you deploy him as a blitzer, I think that yes.
So it's not even about numbers; it's about like position. So if you have like a 4-3 defense and a DN bails out, or two DNs bail out and drop into coverage, and one linebacker rushes, you only have 3 rushers in a 4-3 defense. You would count that as a blitz.
I would think that is how like Pro Football Focus would look at it.
So, okay, that must be where the issue came from, because West Virginia obviously played with 3 down linemen. They did rush for a decent amount, but they only rushed 5 or more like 9 times in the game. My point in all of this is that Pitt gave up a ton of pressure, like 50% of Eli Holstein's dropbacks, without bringing 5 guys or 6 guys or 7 guys all that often. They did it a few times. They had once or twice where they rushed like 6 or 7 guys, and it was pretty, it was like, holy crap, this is really a problem. But they were getting pressure rushing 4 and rushing 3. Sometimes they were just beating guys, and sometimes they were just running little twists or different delayed blitzes, and Pitt just had no answers for it. And I'm really getting concerned about the offensive line, like scheme and protection plan and the coaching there, because not only do they at times look like they're just not very good, a lot of times they look like they have no idea what's going on. Now, did you see there was a quote from West Virginia's defensive coordinator saying that they basically did stuff they had never done before because they wanted to confuse Eli Holstein. And on TV, they were talking about that West Virginia really didn't run a 3-man front in its first couple of games. This was like a totally new look. So they busted out something completely new. Maybe that accounts for it, but like you have to make adjustments to that, right? Like you can't keep getting beat. Even if it's something you never saw before, you should be ready to adjust to that on the sidelines, at least at halftime, if not before, shouldn't you?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been a recurring thing like through the years. Like anytime Pitt goes against an odd man front, like they talk about it all week. Like when they played Cincinnati, like they knew like, okay, Dante Corleone's going to be in the middle and they're doing the 3 down linemen and we have to prepare our whole game plan around it. But like there also has to be counters to it. Like you can't be surprised by it when teams just pull it out on the fly. So like I don't know if that's lack of preparation, and obviously there's not a ton of game film on this West Virginia staff and team, but you just kind of have to be ready for that stuff. And like you can't be surprised when a team throws an odd man front at you, because clearly you struggle with it and other teams are going to recognize that.
It looks like Penn State won the 3rd set. Did you see this? 25-23. So going to 4th sets. No sweep. Oh, did I spoil it?
No, I had the window down. I got it at the moment. I was really talking there.
I should have said it sooner. I should have cut you off as soon as I saw that it changed, just to be the spoiler, because it's a rare opportunity to do so. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if the offensive line can get better. Like I think they probably have their 5 best guys out there. I think it's a coaching issue, a scheme issue, and a preparation issue, an adjustment issue with that group. And I don't really know if it's going to improve. I don't know if the run blocking is going to get all that much better either, to be honest. I just don't think you're going to be able to count on that. But there again, Eli Holstein found open guys to throw to. He has to make those throws. If you go into this next game against Louisville and he plays in the first half of that game the way he played in the first half of the West Virginia game, which was, as you said, let me just bring up the stats. When did he get hurt? Was that in the second half? You remember?
Wait, who?
Eli Holstein. Like when he had to miss a play when Cole Gonzalez came in.
Second quarter.
That was in the second quarter. Okay, so in the first half, Eli Holstein was 13 of 24 for 179 yards and 1 interception. 13 of 24. That's not good. That's barely over 50%. So if he goes out against Louisville and is 13 of 24 for 179 yards and an interception, with the misses that he missed, with the misses that he had, Coach Jim, who's lining up in the shotgun to open the 3rd quarter for you?
I think if the offense is struggling that much, you're, again, scoring single digits, the quarterback's not moving the ball. Like, I think in game adjustment, I think it would be Cole Gonzalez. I think they would default to that, just kind of how they did it against West Virginia. Like he's that next guy ready to go. And I guess if you ever want to make that switch long term or like relieve Eli as being the starter, then I think you open it up to like having conversations about Mason Heinschel. But like if you're talking like you're pulling quarterback mid game, I think they would still probably lean on the senior that's run the offense before. It would be tough for either one of them to go in against Louisville, like a pretty good ACC team, like mid game. But I think that would probably be the maneuver. And I'm interested to see if it would happen. Like we saw 2023, they waited weeks, like well after it should have been made. So I don't know. I mean, like that was always pointed on. It was like Frank Cignetti, it's up to him to make the quarterback change. Frank Cignetti really liked Phil Dracovic, and he really forced to try to make it work. So that's how we kind of assumed how 2023 went. So if Frank Cignetti had those same exact powers to relieve the quarterback at any time, that should suggest Cade Bell has those same powers. So it'll be interesting to see how he approaches it, because 2 years ago it was just so bad and it cost them a whole season.
Yeah. I wonder. I wonder if Pat and he would never admit this or acknowledge it, but I wonder if his approach changes, if Pat Narduzzi's approach changes in game, to force, if there's a bad interception thrown in the first quarter, do you tell Cade Bell, we need somebody else out there? Like, I don't want to make too much of the situation, but does it feel to you like there's a real, like, oh, the season could slip away kind of vibe to this game? I mean, I know I just asked you the question, but I mean, I'm going to say it's still the fourth game of the season. I think you could blow it in this game and still rebound and win games. I mean, it's going to be tough because maybe Louisville was one of the more winnable games. I'm not sure, but like, I don't know. How much pressure do you think they should be feeling for this game?
I think a fair amount of pressure. I just think rivalry games magnify a lot of things. And I think you look at West Virginia last year, like I think that was just like the tipping point for Neil Brown. Like he lost the Backyard Brawl and it was going to be really hard for him to recover from it. I'm not like painting parallels to like Pat Narduzzi, but like that was the point in the season where they knew, okay, this is a problem. And if Pitt's problem right now, maybe not so much Neil Brown, but it is with Eli Holstein and it is about winning games. I think they need to take it pretty seriously. Like I think you live through back-to-back years where everything spiraled out of control and like everything spiraled out of control last year too. So like it's a very delicate season and one loss can snowball, and they should know that better than any team in the country after what happened. So I think there's a good amount of pressure to win this game. I think I don't want to call anything a must win or a not lose or anything like that, but like I think they need to go into next week feeling like they have to play their best game.
Do you think if Eli Holstein makes a mistake early, throws an interception early or something like that and gets pulled, that would be as much of a testament as we're going to get to, or as much of an acknowledgement as we're going to get of how much pressure the staff is putting on this game, of how much Pat Narduzzi is looking at this game and saying, crap, we can't blow it? Because that would be a drastic measure to pull the quarterback in the game. I mean, really haven't seen him do that.
Hardly ever.
Since when? I mean, like, when a game was still like when a game was not out of reach, you know what I mean? Like they, because I think back to 2017 when they benched Max Brown for Ben DiNucci and then benched DiNucci for Max Brown. I mean, those things happen like late in the games, the Oklahoma State game and the Georgia Tech game. And even later when they had DiNucci and Kenny Pickett kind of alternating at Virginia Tech, they had a plan going into the game. They were going to do it that way. So like we really haven't seen, I mean, that would be a drastic move to change quarterbacks after an interception. But if he did that, I mean, I feel like that would be making a statement pretty loudly, wouldn't it?
That would be a very loud statement. Like one mistake. Like I think Eli has like the whole first half. Like I'd be, unless he throws like interception after interception, something like that. But like it would speak volumes to where they feel or how important this game is if it's like second drive of the game and he throws a pick and it's like they don't have any points after one quarter. Like, yeah, like then that tells me like they really want to win this game. They feel like they have to win this game. So it'll be interesting. And I really don't know how it's going to go based off of what I saw last week.
I mean, not all picks are created equal, but if he throws a pick like he threw against Central Michigan, he throws a pick like he threw on the goal line at West Virginia, if he throws a pick like he almost threw in overtime in the West Virginia game, if he throws one, which is a pick that he has thrown multiple times in his career on those outbreaking patterns, like if he throws that kind of interception, like I don't want to say it feels like it would be a lost cause at that point, but like, God, it kind of feels like it might be, like you can't keep making these mistakes. You are living on something of a thin line right now. And I don't know. Brock is a super chatter. We'll get to him here. He says there's been one theme during the 4-game series with West Virginia. The losing team of that game each season never seems to recover, and their season is lost. I mean, you could make a case that the 2023 Pitt team never recovered from losing to Cincinnati in week 2, right? Yeah. West Virginia in 2022. What did they do after the Pitt loss? Do you recall?
I don't.
Well, 2022. Oh, well, they went 5-7 on the season. So they went 4-6 the rest, or 5-6 the rest of the way. And then what happened to them last year? They were very bad.
They made a bowl. They went 6-7.
Okay. So they went after they lost to Pitt. Well, they were 1-1 going into that game. So so they went 5-5 the rest of the way. So they've been just right around. It's been better for them than it was for Pitt in 2023. Like in 2023, Pitt was 1-2 after that game. So Pitt was 2-7 the rest of the way. So West Virginia only being 5-6 and 5-5 after losing to Pitt. That's much better. We'll see what happens here. All right, let's get into some of these comments and questions. Lots of people here. Josh Newark says, I don't pretend to be an X's and O's football guy, but would it make sense to play some 2 linebacker sets to allow Rasheem Biles, Braylon Lovelace, and Kyle Lewis some plays off so that group isn't playing 100% of the snaps? I mean, that would require a significant deviation from what Pat Narduzzi does in his defense, right? Like I could probably count on, it might take 2 hands, but it might just be one, the number of times he's used a set with only 2 linebackers, a 4-2-5, like a true kind of like nickel defense. And almost all of them happened in the Carrier Dome. So I don't see that happening. And I don't think they would do it enough to get those guys meaningful rest. Like it is what it is. That's probably my biggest concern with the defense right now is linebacker depth. Would you agree about that, Jim?
I would agree because it felt like on that final drive, like they were gassed. Like I thought like the 3 linebackers, they were good for most of the game, but that fourth quarter, they probably weren't. And I don't know, like West Virginia did run 90 plays. Like that, I think that did wear them down a good bit. And if you're not rotating at all linebacker, like those guys are going to get spent a little bit. So I don't think they could ever go to like a 2 linebacker because it changes their entire defensive philosophy. You're asking Kyle Lewis and Rasheem Biles to have different responsibilities than what they've been coached to do. So you're not just like you're just creating more chaos than really fixing a problem.
Yeah, I agree. And like there's no good solution there. Like your depth is Cameron Lindsay, and maybe as the season goes on, he'll get more comfortable out there. I'm concerned about that hamstring thing with Kyle Lewis too. It's a good thing there's an off week. You know what I mean? So he can really rest it, really stay off it. Don't go out and try and do any sprints. Don't try and go deadlift or something like that. That's going to put tension on the hamstring. Like stay off it, rest it. Cause that is just the kind of thing that it can just keep coming up. You know what I mean? It's dicey. It was not good seeing him on the sidelines with the Theragun,
I saw him. Like I ended up making my way to the field by the end of the game. And, every football player limps after a game, like everyone's beat up and bruised, but like it was noticeable, like watching Kyle Lewis walk off the field. I'm like, this guy's like definitely not 100% right now.
He's in bad shape. Yeah, he definitely was. And that's like, I mean, like we could have a whole conversation about injuries. I don't think there was anything questionable about him being when he went down or Cruz Brookins when he went down, particularly in overtime. Like he was in bad shape Cruz Brookins. I don't know what I know you were down on the field at that point. I don't know if you rewatched the game or whatnot, but like, I mean, he was down for a long time. Like, I think they eventually started play again, and he was still down on the sideline. He hadn't gotten up and walked away yet. So might be a good time for him to have 2 weeks off too, because I would contend, would you say Cruz Brookins has been Pitt's best defensive player through 3 games? I think he was their best defensive player on Saturday. I don't think it was close.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think he's pretty good. It almost feels, again, like Eric Hallett or DeMar Hamlin's back there already. Like, you can kind of just, like, trust him. Like, he's in the right spots at almost every time. So I thought he did a good job of holding that secondary together. I mean, like, I thought the younger corners held their own. Like, I didn't think they were necessarily bad, but, like, for him to just be a redshirt sophomore, like, his 3rd starting game, like, there's almost, like, an easy, like, yeah, like, he's good. Like, you don't really have to worry about Cruz. And, like, now the only reason you have to worry about him is if he's actually hurt. But, like, from a playing standpoint, like, he's really good. Like, he really impresses me. Like, he's always where he's supposed to be. He just seems to have a really good understanding of this defense, and he's just really physically gifted too. Yeah,
he makes plays. I kind of think he might have tackled Ty Edwards for a safety on that one play that Javon McIntyre, he got out of McIntyre's hands. Ty Edwards was awesome. I mean, he did a great job. But it's funny, all the little plays when you have a game that goes to overtime. Like, there's a lot of little plays you think about. I mean, we think about Eli Holstein and the passes he missed and stuff like that. But like that missed safety where Javon McIntyre's got his hands on him and he just slips free. You know what I mean? Like that's ball game. You know, like that's
the punter catching the ball.
You're right. If the ball
that's another safety.
That dude made a ridiculous play to catch that ball. You know, the Bryce Yates, the long play. I don't know, and we've been having a conversation about this on the message board, so you probably seen it too. Wait, did you say you rewatched the game, or you haven't gotten a chance to rewatch the game?
I've done my research.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah. So it really looks like Bryce Yates. He's headed to the left. He sees the defender in front of him and knows he has Kenny Johnson here, so he cuts back to the right. Great idea. You ran the defender right into Kenny Johnson. Perfect. But then he cuts back to the left and Kenny Johnson's blocking from the right. So, you know, you want to go behind him. You don't want to go over here where the guy can then get off the block and go over and like, he probably scores a touchdown if he just stays toward the middle of the field and runs behind Kenny. I don't know why he cut back, but it's probably a touchdown if he doesn't do it. Braylon Lovelace. What was Braylon Lovelace doing? At least you're trying to make a play, right? With the lateral, when you pick up a fumble and you try and toss it to your teammate. Just fall on the ball.
Yeah.
Now that drive, they end up, you know, West Virginia punted, Pitt got the ball to 20. They drove all the way down and got a field goal out of it. So they still managed points. But, like, just fall on the ball. Pitt gets the ball at the 37. Probably have a better chance of scoring a touchdown, I would think. Plus, as people pointed out, I mean, he was probably down. You know what I mean? Like,
it was a weird, like, it felt like the ball was like unclaimed for way too long. Like, watching it in real time, you're like, how has nobody fallen on this yet?
Yeah. That's absolutely what happened. And then one guy finally did claim it and decided to throw it up in the air. And it didn't make a lot of sense, but it seemed like he was down. But it was funny because the TV guys never even like mentioned the possibility of him being down with the ball. They were just like, what is he doing? I don't even know what was even trying to do. So, but I don't know why the Pitt coaches didn't also think, hey, he might have been down. Can we get a review on that? But it never occurred to me as I was watching it. Because I think everyone was like, I don't think anyone was thinking about the possibility of him being down because everyone was thinking, what the hell? What did you just do? And why did you just do that? Like in the press box, did anybody utter the words, was he down?
I don't think anybody said that. But I think everyone was just like, how did they not get the ball?
Yeah.
Like, right. Above all else, it's like, how does Pitt not have the ball after all of that?
Yeah. And like, I wonder too, and somebody mentioned this on the message boards. So he's got the ball enough to then get rid of the ball. And West Virginia gets the ball. So should it have then been a West Virginia first down because Pitt took possession?
It kind of felt like Pitt had possession.
I mean, he had possession enough to get the ball and throw the ball. So, but I mean, like, there's all these little plays that, like, you look at and you're like, wow, if you had just, you know what I mean? Like, not to mention, and we haven't even talked about penalties. Like, I think the Lyndon Cooper pile-on penalty was the most egregious because it takes the ball from the 7 back to the 22. Who knows what happens if they have first and goal at the 7? after that nice play by Malachi Thomas, like a great catch, great, yards after the catch, Deuce Spann in the Wildcat. So many things happen in a game that it's like we've gone 36 minutes into this podcast and we haven't even mentioned that they took a direct snap to the guy who transferred from Florida State after starting his college career as a quarterback, and he actually made a play with it. Granted, there was a hold on the play, but it's a weird game. It was a weird game, and there was a lot to get into. Josh Newark says, I also thought typical Pat Narduzzi conservative play calling, not to lose mentality by not going forward on 4th down with under 3 minutes to play. I thought Cade Bell was all about aggression. What did you think about that, Jim? It was 4th and 4 at where were they? The 37 or something like that?
Yeah. I thought they should have maybe attempted it. All you need is 4 yards to win the game. And I think at a certain point, if you trust your defense enough to make a stop, 80-ish yards, you should trust them enough to get a stop 50 plus yards. So that's kind of where I thought about it. And I also understand how Pat Narduzzi arrived at the fact that there's no way Nico Marshall is going to drive 90 yards and beat us. I understand that's where he was thinking. And I probably agreed with that too. I didn't think he was going to drive 90 yards and score a touchdown either. But I don't know, 4 yards. It seemed like a good time to maybe get the 4 yards and sneak out of there with a win.
Yeah. Yeah. At the time I was like, okay. I think, it's less than 3 minutes to go. West Virginia. I don't know if they had any timeouts. I think they were out of timeouts, weren't they?
No, that was kind of the problem with that possession, is that they did not really make West Virginia use timeouts. West Virginia took a timeout to overtime, or they did not use all of them for the game.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I don't know. And then I don't know if you noticed on the TV when Eli Holstein came off, they tried to get West Virginia to jump off sides and took a delay of game penalty. When they came off, him and Cade Bell were yelling at each other about
I did see
something.
that, yeah.
And it looked like Cade Bell was saying you should have called a timeout, this was the plan to call a timeout or something like that, and not take the delay of game penalty. So it's even in that case, agree or disagree with the decision, it looks like it's a disjointed mess. You know what I mean? If the quarterback comes off and him and the offensive coordinator are yelling at each other, it makes it seem like they didn't know what they wanted to do or know what they should have done. I don't know. 4th and 4, 37. It ended up being a 24-yard difference, right? Because it was at the 37. They took the delay of game penalty. They punted. West Virginia started at the 13. So it's a 24-yard difference. Yeah, it was probably worth it to go for it. Marlon Burns Truther pointed this out just before we started, that Doug Whaley has been hired at Pitt. He says Doug Whaley was just hired at Pitt. I actually think this probably happened a little bit ago. It looks like JJ Kitchen, friend of the program, JJ Kitchen on Twitter pointed out that Doug Whaley's listed in the staff directory as a football revenue share advisor. Whaley, of course, was working for Alliance 412. Alliance 412 got basically told to stop doing things by the Pitt Athletic Department. So they stopped, and Whaley sort of officially went in-house. I think it was sort of inevitable it was going to happen. It probably has been in the works for a little while, and now is just finally official. We'll see what kind of comes of that. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jim? Pitt more or less officially hiring a general manager for the football program?
I was just kind of wondering what would happen to some of the Alliance 412 guys. I wondered if they were just going to be absorbed, or some guys would be let go, some guys would be brought on. So Doug Whaley's been involved for I guess a couple years. I don't know how long he's been with Alliance 412. So I don't know what that changes specifically. I don't know what that title is. That's the first time I've seen that title in writing. So I don't know if I have an opinion on it just yet.
Yeah. I imagine his job is largely going to be what it was at Alliance 412, which is doing a lot of sort of money things, contract things, establishing who gets what and how much to offer and that kind of thing. I think it was inevitable that eventually he would come in-house. I don't think anybody else from Alliance 412 will, but it sort of made sense that he would eventually get there. Chris is a super chatter, says, is Desmond Reed back or is he still injured? We need him. Well, the good thing is they have 2 weeks off, right? Or an extra week off. And we'll see. I don't know. I think Pat Narduzzi will, if Desmond Reed is good to go, Pat Narduzzi will tell us on Monday when we ask about it. If Desmond Reed is not, he will tell us that he doesn't talk about injuries. So
that's probably a good way of thinking about it.
We'll see. Let's scroll through here. Swim Boyd wants to know what issues are fixable with this team. Well, let's start with identifying the issues. Jim, top 3 issues for Pitt football 2025 right now.
Quarterback.
Okay.
Offensive line.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe linebacker depth.
That does it. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Linebacker depth. It's the biggest issue on defense right now. Linebacker depth. Quick aside. Do you have any concern level about the corners, given that they haven't really faced a good passing offense yet?
Probably a little bit. They'll probably get tested from Louisville. Just Brom's definitely going to push the issue and see what he can. He's going to know if Sean Lee, a true freshman, is out there, and they're going to try to target him as much as possible and see how that works out. But I would say
his name, Chris Bell, is that the receiver there? He's awesome. He's a monster. So even if it's Shadarian, even if it's Rashad Battle or Damon Lynham, I think that's going to
throw the ball.
Really difficult. Yeah, that's going to be a difficult cover. So that's going to be, but because they haven't faced a good passing offense yet, right?
No.
So, do you have a concern level there? I cut you off. I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to see what it looks like, but I thought they held their own on Saturday. Like like West Virginia actually has a pretty good receiver, and like he didn't put up that many numbers. Like I don't know what Cam Vaughn did on Saturday specifically, but
he had Cam Vaughn 3 catches for 34 yards on 6 targets.
I think you can live with that because like he was
like
a freshman All-American last year and like one of the biggest players to transfer with Rich Rod. So
yeah,
I think, I thought they did a good job against them. Obviously West Virginia's quarterback situation was a little messy with Markiel struggling in the first half, and they put in the freshman who struggled even more so I don't know. Louisville's definitely going to test them a good bit. That's just who they are. That's Jeff Brom. That's Louisville football. So, you're going to see a lot of pass attempts.
Yeah. We're like sidebar to the original question of top 3 concerns on the team. I asked Pat Narduzzi on Thursday, about Rodney Gallagher. Obviously, local guy, been around for a long time, recruited by Pitt for a long time. And I asked him, has he become the player you thought he would be? And I don't know if you saw it. He was like, I don't know. We'll find out on Saturday. It's like, you can't just say, yeah, he's a really good player. Well, what was West Virginia's first play in the game? Do you remember West Virginia's first offensive snap, Jim?
No, but I know what I said to Nathan Brasinger from Pittsburgh Sports Now. I said, how long do you think until West Virginia absolutely forces the ball to Rodney Gallagher just because they have him on their team? And he was like, it's going to happen in the first 5 plays.
First play was a 20-yard pass to Rodney Gallagher. I don't know if Rich Rodriguez was sitting back saying, like, really, was Narduzzi really like, well, we'll find out on Saturday how good he is. Well, here, first play. You know what? Hey, Narduzzi, we know that if we do a little bit of a play action look, your linebackers are going to take 3 steps forward. So we're going to run your slot receiver right at your All-American linebacker, who's going to take 3 steps forward. And we're going to throw the ball over his head while your safety. I wrote down my notes. Open past 9, because 9 did not go with 24, 9 being Kyle Lewis, 24 being Rodney Gallagher. And then I wrote 7 running somewhere, ? Because I don't know where Javon McIntyre was going on that play. He was, but you know what? Like slot receivers, tight ends, beating Pitt, not really anything new. That big pass to the tight end, the 34-yard pass on one of those last 2 drives, I forget which one it was. Like I've said this a bunch of times, like Rich Rod had that in his pocket the whole game, right? Like he had to have, he's a smart guy. He's a smart coach. He had to have watched film and been like, oh, look, every team that ever does this totally cooks Pitt with this like tight end play up the seam, right? Like he had to have known it. And he kept it in his back pocket that whole game until...
I think it was the last drive.
Was it the last drive?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, right there. 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9 from the West Virginia 25. Like, desperation mode of all desperation modes. And he's like, it's time. Do it. and they get freaking 34 yards out of it. Like he was sitting on that play. I don't know if it's the tee shoot or whatever Narduzzi talks about, but like he sat on that play and brought it out when he absolutely needed it. And it worked to perfection. It worked to perfection. All right. Top 3 concerns on the team. What do we say? The quarterback, the offensive line, and the linebacker depth. Swim Boyd wants to know what issues are fixable. So what's fixable from those issues, Jim?
Well, they're not getting more linebacker depth. If anything, it could only get worse. Offensive line, I don't know. I don't know if they have different options they can try. I don't know if they can bring in Kendall Stanley or somebody else to mix things up, or just simply block better, be coached better, scheme better, that kind of thing. It really comes down to the quarterback playing better. And I think there's somewhere in there, I think Eli Holstein has talent. I think he is a good player. I think he has moments where he can do really good things. They just need those moments to be more frequent.
So is that fixable?
I don't know.
13 games. 13 games as a starter. Admittedly, one of those was very short, the Louisville game last year. 13 games as a starter. I forgot I wrote down his record in those 13 games.
9-3.
Yeah, he's 5-4 against Power 4 competition, I think. He was 5-3 last year as a starter. 5-4 as against Power 5, Power 4 competition. It's 13 games. I mean, like, you know, if you were talking about a freshman or a redshirt freshman quarterback, first year as a starter, he starts all 13 games, you wouldn't say he's a finished product at that point. My biggest concern, though, Jim, is like, I don't feel like we've really seen that much improvement from last year. Like, I don't feel like he's that much better now than he was a year ago. And that's concern. I expected a better Eli Holstein in year 2. I don't think we've got it.
Yeah, I did too. And I mean, I think he's like, even in that game against West Virginia, he had moments like that one drive. It was like 5 plays, 75 yards. The offense looked like how it was supposed to. Obviously, it was a big play to Poppy Williams that kind of got it going, but like, that's fine. That's part of the offense. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to get big chunk plays to Kenny Johnson and Poppy Williams. So I don't know. It's just so inconsistent with him. And for large chunks of the game on Saturday, it was not just inconsistent. It was just bad play. It was bad quarterback play. It was a whole half of really bad quarterback play. So I don't know what's fixable about that. I mean, there's going to be games that are easier, I guess. Like maybe he'll light up Stanford and Boston College and things like that. But like, I don't know. Like they're going to struggle to score points if this is the offense they're going to trot out there against Georgia Tech and Notre Dame and Miami.
Yeah, because even that play, that drive you're talking about, 5 plays, 75 yards. I know big plays are part of the offense, but he threw 1 pass on that drive. He's still, and again, this is like what I came back to before. Like, you get these like big spectacular plays and they're exciting and they're great, but you need the routine plays too. You need to be able to connect on the plays that move the sticks. I thought one of his best drives late in the game, he had a drive. It might've been maybe the other touchdown drive, actually. Like first play, 4-yard pass to Malachi Thomas. Great. Next play, little pass to Jules Goff over the middle. And it only got 3 yards. It would have gotten more than that, but Goff kind of bobbled the ball. 3rd and 3, he hits Jules Goff over the middle for a 10-yard gain. You know, short little pitching catch. There's a run play. He gets sacked, unnecessary roughness. And then 1st and 10 from the 14, he makes a nice touchdown pass, rolls out to his right, makes a nice touchdown pass to Raphael Williams. That's a nice drive. He needs to make those plays consistently, those routine plays. And he just, there's just not enough balance there. It's too much extremes of like great, incredible, spectacular. And then, oh my God, awful. That was one of the worst passes I've ever seen. How could you miss that guy? And there's not enough of that in between. And I just don't know if that gets better or if it's fixable. Pitt's up 23-16, by the way, in the 4th set. I don't know if you're still keeping an eye on that. I'm sure you are, but Pitt volleyball up 23-16 over Penn State in the fourth set. They should win that soon, or they seem to be heading toward it. We'll see. We don't want to count the volleyballs before they hatch. George Dunseith says, so much for the finish offseason mantra. I mean, you're going to win games, you're going to lose games. The defense needed to finish that game. The offense needed to start that game. They didn't start. The offense didn't do anything good in that game. You only scored 2 touchdowns in a game. You stink. You did a bad job, and that's where they're at. John Jingleheimer Schmidt says, can we get some good news here? Last weekend hurt my soul. I mean, probably in a few minutes. I mean, Pitt's at match point right now. It's 24-17. Oh, wait. It says set 1. No.
It's close. It's
24-17. So this should anyway, you'll get your news soon. Josh Newark says, is tomorrow's morning Pitt on future head football coaching candidates? Nope. Let's see. Voodoo IPA says, looking good. Thanks.
Sometimes you need that.
I don't know. I had a hat on for a little bit tonight, so it kind of matted the hair down, I like this like light blue shirt I have on. I'm a big fan of that. And that's it. Pitt has won. Ryla Jones gets a kill. Pitt wins the set. Pitt wins the match. Number 5 Panthers take down, what was Penn State? 13, I think. Yes. Number 13 Penn State Nittany Lions in State College. Nice win for Pitt. A little bit of a rough start to the season for Pitt, but they have gotten it. They seem to have gotten it rolling. I think they've got the machine going right now. Olivia Babcock is a killer. I think a few other key players have emerged, take on some key roles. So that's, heading in the right direction. Jim, you want to write an article about that when we're done? Pitt volleyball?
Sure.
Thanks. I figured if I asked you here, you couldn't really say no. Like if I waited till we got done with the live stream, you'd be like, oh, I got this to do, or I got that to do. But I figure if I asked you in front of all these people, then you would have to say yes. Pitt Fan H2P says, love the morning Pitt today, Chris. Keep it up. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you checking that out. Real Talk says, we got to become more balanced on offense in football. Aside from Cade Bell's own kind of just heavy leaning toward passing, I don't know if this offense is built to really be balanced in terms of run pass. Like even the run game, it's extremes. Like Desmond Reed, I think we talked about this, 1, 1, 2, -1, 67, and then you end up with however much I just said, 70 yards on 4 carries. Holy cow, he's crazy. But really, he had 1 carry that got all the yards. And I don't think that counts as a balanced offense. They might end up with something closer to balance in terms of the overall yardage totals, but I don't think they're ever really going to be a balanced offense that can chip away with the run. I just don't think they're built that way, and I don't think the offensive coordinator thinks that way.
I think there are probably opportunities where they could run a little bit more, and that probably would help the quarterback and, maybe take a little less burden off of him. The one time there was one play call that really irked me with Cade Bell on Saturday, and it was the first play of the last drive on offense in regulation. It was an incomplete pass to Zion Fowler. And I didn't quite understand why at any point you would risk not running the clock at that point. Because I know Joel Goff got a 16-yard gain the next play, and they got the first down anyway. But I'm of the mindset that time over yardage at that point. Get the clock rolling. West Virginia at that point, Pitt had the ball with 5 minutes to go. West Virginia had 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning on their side, and they only had to use 1 timeout. So they got the ball back with a 2-minute warning and a timeout. I think that was a little bit of a failure too.
Yeah. Because I imagine Pat Narduzzi or Cade Bell would say, well, we want to be aggressive. We wanted to try and strike. And, we're even if we ran the ball and got a decent gain, we're not the type that's going to run the clock all the way down. You needed to at that point. You needed to run the clock at that point. West Virginia only rushed 3 guys. I mean, they were still, I think we were playing Pitt to pass in that situation. Plus you had maybe you thought you were going to catch them off guard because they expected you to run there. You had Raphael Williams, but you also had Deuce Spann and Zion Fowler on the field. So it's not like you had Kenny Johnson and Blue Hicks. You didn't have your top receivers out there. Maybe they thought they could just catch them, but they very much didn't. And I forget, what was that pass? Do you remember what the pass was? Was it to like the sideline or something too?
No, it was like middle of the field, a 4-yard end to Zion Fowler that they just.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it was like,
middle of the
yeah,
field.
it would have kept the clock rolling, but it didn't really gain yardage, so it pretty much served the same purpose as a 3-yard run anyway.
Just without taking any.
So they ran one play for 3 seconds when they
Right.
needed to burn clock.
Yep. Yeah, I think on TV they were like, I mean, I know it's not 4 minutes yet, but you're almost to the point of treating this like a 4-minute drive. I mean, that should have been a 4-minute drive. You have the ball at your 25 with 5 minutes left to go, and you're protecting a touchdown lead. You need to treat that like a 4-minute drive. If nothing else, like you've said, you at least need to come out of that drive with West Virginia having no timeouts left. And West Virginia, I mean, kind of surprisingly, didn't call a timeout. After they had a run on first down, they had a run on second down after they picked up a first down. West Virginia didn't call a timeout after any of those. They didn't call a timeout until third down. So, I don't know. Just I agree with you. I thought that was a bad decision. It wasn't a great great call, and it's even worse when you don't complete the pass. Let's see here. Josh Newark wants to know, what was the injury to Desmond Reed? Our seats at the game were too far away and only saw him on the sideline. I really couldn't tell. I rewatched his last play a bunch of times to see if there was anything I could see. I couldn't see anything. He didn't really seem to be walking with a limp on the sideline. He was just standing there in uniform. I would think if it was like an ankle injury or something like that, he wouldn't be standing on the sideline in full uniform. I don't know if he got a concussion. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But he just stood there the whole game.
Yeah, and I think that is a message board theory right now, that it was probably like he didn't pass concussion protocols. Like some people kind of speculated at that because he wasn't really hobbled. He didn't have a helmet like at all, so it was just a guy walking around that didn't seem to be limping, that had a lower body injury, as the broadcast put it.
Yeah.
So I also half wonder if it was a concussion related injury as well.
Yeah. And that would be the way to do it, is tell the TV guys that it's, lower body when it actually turns out to be his head. What's this next question? Oh, Swim Boyd wants to know, how does Pitt compare with penalties per game with other teams? Looking up the stats right now. Jim, where do you know where they are?
Not off the top of my head.
They are tied for 103rd.
Oh,
so
that's better than I thought, honestly.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I thought it would have been. Well, I guess the first 2 games weren't that bad, but
yeah, this last one was. They're actually, who else is tied with them? West Virginia has 23 penalties through 3 games, which is what all of these teams that are tied for 103rd have. So West Virginia, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, South Carolina, plenty of teams that, there's even a couple 3-0 teams. Georgia Tech has the same record. Vanderbilt has the same number of penalties. So even some teams that are undefeated, but also, it was just bad. I mean, there were bad penalties in that game. Pitt had some really bad ones that cost them the game. And I think a close game like that, an overtime game, you're going to have a lot of situations that you'd say, well, that cost them the game. And I think penalties were certainly one of them. Scroll through here.
Actually, I was looking up penalties, like Pitt's penalty rankings through the years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know the last time Pitt wasn't in the hundreds?
2017.
That is correct.
Really? Hey, look at me. I don't know why I guessed 2017. Like 2016, I feel like they either gave up a long pass or got a pass interference penalty every time the opponent dropped back to throw. 2019, for as good as that defense was, I think they were incredibly.
I mean, Paris Ford was getting
not
ejected
smart, right? Exactly. And Damar Hamlin did a lot of not smart things that year, and that really carried over to 2020. I don't remember the 2021 team being all that penalty prone, but anyway, yeah. So that's kind of who they are. It's a good question for Pat Narduzzi. I hope I remember to ask that next Monday. Let's see. Scrolling through here. I guess so. On the topic of penalties, this will be our last one here. Jim Mark Shilaju says, "How many years are we going to see Pitt make bad penalties before Pat Narduzzi realizes some of his approach to the team's mental preparation has to change? Dumb penalties are part of this regime." How much do you think the team takes on the personality of the head coach, and how much do you think that ends up translating into or manifesting as a highly penalized team?
I don't know. I mean, we just looked up, and this is 8 straight years of Pitt being ranked in the hundreds of penalties, and I don't think that's on accident either.
So
there probably needs to be some sort of change if you keep getting penalized. And if the two things you stress the most in a football game are penalties and turnovers, penalties are the one thing you can absolutely fix on your own. Like, turnovers are random occurrences that could happen on any play, but like, it doesn't take much to not false start twice in the red zone.
Do you feel like he stresses penalties? Is that like his second most
in press conference? Point? In press conferences, he might say like, "Oh, penalties and turnovers, that's what can flip the football game," but like repeatedly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not exactly translating in the locker room, I guess.
I wonder what happened on that second false start. Like, Keith Gouveia clearly jumped on the first one. On the second one, though, it looked like basically everybody to the left of the center jumped. Like Gouveia, Jeff Percy, even Justin Holmes, I feel like moved on the second false start. But there again, you go from a 3rd and 1 at the 15 to a 3rd and 11 at the 25. Like, yeah. This is how you lose a game. You're not good enough to get away with all of these mistakes that we've just spent the last 63 minutes cataloging. So, all right, Jim, you got a volleyball article to write, so I'm going to close this off. I really appreciate you stepping up and volunteering for that. We all look forward to reading your thoughts on this match as the Panthers beat the Nittany Lions. It's always good to get a rivalry win. We wouldn't know what that's like on the football side of things because it hasn't happened in 12 months. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Make sure you like this video and subscribe, youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. Stay tuned for the Morning Pit tomorrow. We'll be talking about transfers. We got the Morning Pit mailbag on Friday, and then back to a regular game week next week as Pitt gets ready for Louisville. So, Jim, thanks for your time tonight. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and we will catch up with you tomorrow for the Morning Pit right here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.